This is a moment to feel some relief. The wheels of justice are finally turning, but not to relax. The reality is that this case has been fraught with problems at every level so far. The cops really messed this one up. The prosecutor had to be pushed aside so we get a new prosecutor in there and actually get the charges that should have been made on day one. And when you listen to people in Sanford, what they tell you is cases like this in the past have fallen apart at every single level, even with the judges once they get to court. And so we have to continue to stay focused, stay vigilant, continue to pray that this case is well handled from here on out. The good news is that we have a prosecutor who is very committed to her job and seems to have a high standard for her work. And so our hope is that this will continue down a good course, but we cannot take it for granted. What you've seen consistently from this family is, I think, a real spirit of love, of inclusion, very simple demands for just basic justice. No bloodlust, none of the vengeance you see for some families in some cases, but just a simple dignity, saying we want justice for our son. No more, no less. And that's been consistent. And I would hope that people would focus on that, on the consistency of dignity and even class in the face of what is a deeply troubling situation, and an attempt really by the justice system in Sanford to send the message that her kid just wasn't worth much. 3 days her kid sat in the morgue, killed 70 feet from his father's girlfriend's house. And the police didn't even knock on the doors to say, who is this kid? They just assumed he didn't belong there. The police didn't pick up the phone, call the person he was talking to just minutes before he was killed, say, who are you talking to? They just put him in the morgue and forgot about it. And so I think that's what folks should focus on, is how this family's been mistreated and how they've responded in a way that is just absolutely dignified. What that says to me is that probably a higher percentage of this country than ever before understands that race is a real problem, that it affects our justice system, that it impacts how people are treated. And I find it actually remarkable that the overall numbers are that high, given that it's been a decade since we've had an honest national conversation about racial profiling. If you go back to '99 and 2000, George W. Bush was campaigning against racial profiling while campaigning for president. But after September 11th, everything changed and the conversation went dark for over a decade. Next week, we'll have our first Senate hearings on the End Racial Profiling Act in over 10 years. And so, given that a generation has come of age in this country without any conversation about racial profiling, it's a very good sign. Our hope is that people, as they listen to the experience of this family, as they listen to the perspective of people like Roseanne Barr, who's come out and said, you know, I worry about my son, ostensibly a rich white kid, when he goes out the front door and puts on his hoodie, but I really worry about his black friends. Because I know that the cops, they always treat young men fairly regardless, but they really don't treat the young black ones fairly. Understand that this is a problem that affects far more of us than we realize, either because it's our son, it's us, it's our son's friend. Our country, sadly, decades ago, those numbers, especially in the white community, would be much lower. So I see that as an optimistic sign. I think that they will go higher and higher as the country is re-educated about the reality of racial profiling through what will be a very long public conversation.